welcome to The Real Deal, your one-stop shop for news, reviews and so much more to do with the world of film here at the Clapham Picturehouse.
And quite the mixed bag this week as well. Coming up on the show, first up, Chris Hemsworth swaps Marvel mayhem for modern cybercrime.
Jennifer Aniston stars in a powerful and moving drama about coming to terms with a tragedy.
And Kevin Hart in something a little less moving, a romantic comedy starring Josh Gad. So first up is Blackhat, a Michael Mann directed thriller starring Norse god Chris Hemsworth. Sounds good, doesn't it? But before we find out if it is, let's take a look at a clip.
And joining us now is the wonderful Cassam Looch, who's here to tell us all about Blackhat. Enlighten us, because I am so confused.
Yeah, so it starts Chris Hemsworth as an imprisoned hacker who has been inside for a long time, and he's one of the most notorious hackers in history, apparently. And he is released to help the authorities to track down an even more evil hacker who is intent on world domination.
Can I just point out as well, guys who spend most of their lives in front of computer screens in their bedroom, I'm pretty sure that they look like Thor.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and also that concept of cyber attacks and hacking, there's not a lot of action that takes place in that. It is a guy in a hoodie in his bedroom on a computer.
I don't know if it is an established genre, but cyber thriller is my least favourite type of film. Yeah. So
right.
Going into this, I was wary anyway.
Yeah.
I like Michael Mann. I like a lot of his films, in fact. You know, he's one of my favourite
And I like Chris
films.
Hemsworth.
And I think a lot of people like Chris Hemsworth. But this film is flawed in so many different ways. You know, the hacking is so timely right now, but they managed to make it feel so dated the way they kind of go about it. The way it looks on the screen looks dated. The kind of techniques he uses, like sending files over to the head of the CIA, and it kind of like easily hacks into the main systems to do with that. And it's just like, yeah, this film had so much going for it, but it fails spectacularly. I hated the sound as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard the wrath of Cassam quite so much as what we're getting right now. Are there any redeeming features of this film?
It's got a nice international flavour to it. So you do see characters travel around the world, which is nice for them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But even that has its own problems, because there's a point in it where he's supposed to go undercover. Chris Hemsworth is supposed to go undercover. So this big 6-foot-plus blonde Thor guy is supposed to go undercover.
He's the guy that blends in.
Yeah.
In Malaysia.
I would never look twice.
In Malaysia, I'm going to expect Thor to blend in. I'm sorry, I just can't buy that. Putting on a hat does not hide everything.
People be taking photos.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned the sound. That's quite interesting. Let's talk about the sound and the way Michael Mann uses it. What's the problem?
Well, he always tries to go for a natural sound. So, you know, you kind of get things in the background, not too many studio setups with him. So it's all kind of on location. And it works for some films. So like on Heat, you know, you really felt the impact of all the bullets. And on other films as well, it's kind of Collateral as well. You know, you get that visceral sound. With this film, there's a real problem with the sound because it dips in and out in various places.
Oh, it's so
and
annoying.
it even feels like some of the syncing is off at certain times. And that's all to do with trying to go for that naturalistic scene. There is a great shootout in the film as well, going back to one of the positives. But it just feels like Michael Mann trying to recreate some of his big hits from the past. So it's like, you know, the loudest gunfight he can possibly put together. Just trying to do that again. And it's just, no, this film was a massive disappointment for me.
That's such a shame, because this was the film that we picked out as maybe the big leading film, because it's got that big leading man and Chris Hemsworth in it. So this is probably one that you guys at home might be thinking that you're going to go and head to the cinema to see. So, I mean, what is the real deal on this film before people part with their cash?
It's the one I wanted to check out as well this week. So it's got a big star in it, a big name director as well. All the elements are there, international thriller, but fortunately pretty much everything in it sucks.
Wow, that is scathing.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 2 stars, and that's being generous because I like some of the elements in it.
Okay, fantastic, thank you. Now, next up, Jennifer Aniston plays a woman in Cake who is dealing with personal tragedy. And there is a personal tragedy for Miss Aniston as well, as she has lots and lots of award snubs. So let's take a look at Cake.
I want you to verbalize to Nina how her suicide affected you.
She jumped off a freeway overpass, landed on a flatbed truck heading to Mexico. Her body got stuck in customs for like a week before Nina's husband could even claim it. Way to go, Nina.
So that's a clip from Cake, and the thing about this film, I think, that says it all for those of you who haven't seen it, and that's me as well, is the poster. Jennifer Aniston looking so raw and de-makeuped as well, which is something we don't associate with her. And it's something very different for her as well, from what I hear. Cassam, tell us about it.
Yeah, so Jennifer Aniston stars this woman stars as this woman who has some physical and mental scars, which you learn more about over the course of the film. To be honest, on the surface of it, it does feel like one of those films aimed specifically at Academy members and the award season.
Right.
But her performance in it, I thought, was fantastic.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think this is something that really is a bit of a travesty that actually she didn't get nominated. I don't know why this happened, but she pulls off a performance that is so superior to what else we're seeing within the Best Actress category at the moment. She plays pain so well in this, and I really felt for her. She has physical problems, she has mental problems in this, and it's so far removed from what we've seen Jennifer Aniston do before that this was really something that could have made her.
Well, and what happens as well is sort of when a film comes out, you get sent certain images and stuff by the studio. In all of them, she's crying. So is it?
She's got chronic pain.
Yeah, and you really feel that pain as well. Like, you know, there's bits where she's struggling to sit up and move, and you're kind of going through with it. You know, you're feeling it with her, and it's just, it's a hard watch in those terms, but her performance, it is so good. And I don't know if it's an element of just because it is Jennifer Aniston, you know, this actress who we've seen in comedies before doing something serious. Maybe that's why she was overlooked, but I mean, it should be the one that makes her, I think.
Well, here's the thing, I found it incredibly shocking just to see these images of her distraught and crying. So maybe we don't, despite what a great actress I do think she is, we don't associate her with that kind of thing.
No, we don't. But also, I think what this film does is, like I say, it puts her in a different stead, really, because what happens here is you see her completely vulnerable. Like, raw, as she is on the posters, you really see such a raw performance. I don't know how she got into this role, the research that she did, but it definitely paid off. Not only that, there is a sort of slightly lateral sense within this film as well. We have Anna Kendrick, who plays from the outset a girl who committed suicide, and she comes and appears to Jennifer Aniston throughout the film as a ghost and stuff, and it's kind of a battle of emotions that she's having there with what to do with her life, and that's how she comes in to meet Anna Kendrick's partner Sam Worthington, who also does a very good performance in this as well. I think this is a very well acted film overall. It does, all the cast are great. There's even a small cameo from William H. Macy, which actually at that point made me cry.
Yeah, that was like a pivotal point in the film, and I'm with you. That point really got me.
Isn't it interesting as well, because someone like Sam Worthington and Anna Kendrick, these people aren't ones you'd associate with sort of really testing emotional movies. It's a very interesting cast for that. It sounds like it works.
Pitch Perfect pretty emotional, okay?
Yeah, that's true, I suppose. But I mean, it seems like it's an incredibly interesting film and a bit of a surprise as well. Yeah,
I think it was a massive surprise, and it was even more of a surprise, and I keep harking on about this point, but there should have been more accolades for Jennifer Aniston in this, because there are other performances, like I said, which didn't quite live up to what she's put into this, and it's a shame. I think also on this, the film in itself is very watchable, albeit uncomfortable, but it is something that you can learn from as well, and I always like that kind of bit of really key education in this piece, and it was very, very raw, as I said before as well, so it was good.
Now, is there anything you didn't like?
No, I mean, I thought some of it was predictable in as much as you know where things are heading, and some of the big events are going to be revealed to you in a certain chronological order, but no, I'm struggling to find anything I didn't like, to be honest.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this film.
Right, sounds powerful, bit depressing. What's the real deal?
Real deal is that this is a film that will turn your opinion on Jennifer Aniston if you had any doubts beforehand. It is a 4+ star film, but the performance itself is worth 5 stars.
Oh, I totally agree. I think Jennifer Aniston has really upped her game with this film. Hopefully she'll take on more dramatic roles. She's proved herself as a comedic actress, and this is the one that will hopefully cement her as a really good leading actress in all fields of film. So yeah, 5 stars from me.
5 stars for Cake, amazing. Something a little bit different next, as Josh Gad and the loudest man in comedy, Kevin Hart, star in a bromantic comedy. Here's a clip.
I gotta be honest with you guys.
It's making it worse!
Now, rounding off the show, we are also joined by the lovely Aleyha Ahmed, who's here with us today. Thank you for coming to talk specifically about The Wedding Ringer. And what a film to talk about. This is Kevin Hart, a big blockbuster comedy kind of film that we'd want to go and maybe take a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, to go and watch as some light-hearted entertainment, but was it?
Well, you could even take your mates to it. I think it's one of those comedies that everyone's supposed to, get into the mood for it. On paper, I really thought I was going to hate this because I'm not a big fan of Kevin Hart. I really don't like this genre of wedding comedies that have kind of sprung up out of nowhere. So yeah, but I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good bad film. I mean, I definitely was surprised that it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I still think it was very flawed, and there were lots of things I didn't like about it. But it was very hit and miss. There were times where I was cracking up, laughing so loudly, and other times I was just rolling my eyes.
I have to agree. I think we saw each other just before the cinema and I was like, oh God, here we go. It's going to be one of those. But actually, this film's got a lot of heart to it. You know, and it's got a nice through line, and it sort of has a lot of sentiment as well, and a lot of funny moments, more than I expected. And they weren't like grotesque or, you know, just there for the sake of it. It actually worked within the whole line of the film, so I thought it was very good, and a good understated performance from Kevin Hart to some extent.
By his standards.
By his standards.
I mean, I wouldn't say this isn't his big sort of Al Pacino moment or anything like that, but he, you know, by his standards, yeah, and he can act. Like you say, there are some softer moments in it. I think there's some heart, you know, scenes where he shows his heart, so to speak.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are some good bits in it, and overall, I didn't mind it. I still can't say it's an amazing film.
I think it's something that's truly forgettable. Like once we've seen it, like we watched it a few weeks ago, and now I'm kind of going, what happened in that film again?
Oh yeah, and you were mentioning some of the other people involved in the film. I was like, was she in it? Oh yeah, she was.
Yeah, but I can see you sort of chomping at the bit to kind of go, no, I disagree.
Well, I was going to say about Kevin Hart, I think Olivia Thirlby really helped him out in the film, because I think her character is the only really sort of strong female character in the whole film. The others are kind of throwaway plot points, I feel. Yeah. But her character and their sort of relationship in the film does definitely make Kevin Hart act a bit better, bring him out, bring the sort of softer side of him out, which I liked. There were a lot of emotional surprisingly a few emotional scenes in there, but I think a couple of them didn't work for me and they didn't ring true. They were just sort of, I felt they were thrown in a little bit to try and bring out that sort of softer side of the characters, which I wasn't a huge fan of.
I really liked the relationship between Josh Gad and Kevin Hart as well. I thought that worked very nicely. Kaylee Cuoco Sweeting, I think, she plays a good kind of, you know, a good bad cop sort of sense as the bride in this film. And there are some very slapstick moments with her. There's some moments where you go, oh my God, she's such a bridezilla, and she does it well enough that it doesn't grate, which I think is quite a fine line with this. But it's an interesting concept in terms of a guy pays a guy to be his best friend because he's got no friends, and it opens up with Josh Gad making all these phone calls to people going, hey bud, I met you at uni or a college, and do you want to come and be my best man? And it was kind of that desperation, and I really felt for him from the start, which made it, you know, me really invest in that story a little bit, which I think worked quite well, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, it also avoided being mean in any way, which is a big worry with films like this. You know, Josh Gad is this guy who, you know, they explain why he doesn't have friends. You know, he's a busy guy, he's kind of moved around. They kind of gave that reasoning. He's not just a big loser.
Yeah.
And that, again, that made the film very watchable, and it didn't leave with a nasty taste in the mouth, which is a big worry sometimes with these films.
Yeah, okay guys, so yeah, what is the real deal on The Wedding Singer? The Wedding Singer? The Wedding Ringer!
I think that it's perfectly designed for that to happen. They want you to make that mistake.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a really interesting premise. Definitely a film that is a little bit forgettable in that, you know, we've seen these kind of wedding comedies come and go over the years, but it's an entertaining film to watch. Funny bits in it, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a lot better than I thought it would be. It's still not amazing, but by some of the comedy standards that we've seen this year, I think I'd give it 3 out of 5. Good
stuff. That is definitely a recommendation. For me, it doesn't quite beat The Wedding Singer, but The Wedding Ringer is good in its own right. So definitely a recommendation, 3 stars. So that's it for this week's show. Huge thanks to our experts that have come in and joined us, Cassam Looch and Aleyha Ahmed.
But most importantly, what do you think? Well, let us know at The Real Film Show on Twitter, and of course for more news, reviews and all sorts of film fun, check out The Real Deal on film.com.
Thanks for watching.